So in this video, I actually added in a damage state to my character. This is a sort of occurs when the character takes like 50% damage. Her clothing will get tattered. There we go. So we just triggered the damage state. Her clothing gets more tattered, but her animation set basically remains intact. I've regenerated animations using my AutoSprite tool in order to create this sort of damage state for the same character, utilizing, like I say, very similar animations throughout the entire sort of set of combat moves, the entire fight sequence. So I'm going to show you a look at some of the latest and more advanced features in my AutoSprite version 3 sprite generation suite today. Let's take a look at that. So here are some of the new features added to AutoSprite version 3. So in this case, my character started in a 1:1 aspect ratio square. Works fine for most animations, punches, kicks, idles, stuff like that, no problem. However, when I wanted to do a jump animation, as you can see, the top of the character's ponytail actually goes out of the frame, and it can be pretty hard to get the character to stay in the frame sometimes when you're doing action animations. So what I added over here is this calibrate canvas option. So you can bring this up and you can choose a new canvas calibration for your character. So for example, if I need more height at the top, what canvas calibration does is it preserves the exact aspect sizing of your character, but it adds extra canvas space where you might need it. So if you have like for example, a sword swinging attack or something like that, and you need more space in front, you can do that. You can also choose where to anchor your character, left, right, or center. And so using this process, I was able to generate these animations with more canvas height on the top, and the character's able to stay within frame a lot easier. And then what happens is when it comes time to remove the backgrounds of your particular characters, is what you'll do up here is you'll lock either the width or the height of your green screen removal process, and this will ensure that the height of your character or the width of your character stays the same. So depending on if you're expanding to the right or if you're expanding up, you'll lock the width or the height to maintain the aspect ratio, or rather the pixel size of your character from its original canvas. So this is kind of an advanced animation feature that is available in AutoSprite 3. Of course, you can do a lot of simple animation stuff as well, but if you need more advanced features, this is one of them. And the other feature that is actually really, I think, really powerful here that I just finished adding in was the ability to take your starting character and then add multiple states for this character. Let's actually open up the original source character, because this is the original source character with all of her animations, and this is actually the normal state of the character. And then I'm actually doing a second animation set over here which shows all the damaged states of the character. What we're going to do, and actually what I did do here, is I went into the normal state of the character and I copied all the prompts used for the character. And then I opened up the new character. Let's say this one here is like a partially damaged character, and I went and I pasted in all of those animation prompts just to recreate everything. Let me actually show you how this is done, because it actually ties into the new reference starting pose system. So as you can see, we have a crouched starting reference pose. We also have a standing starting reference pose, because certain states might want to start from a different position. So in order to get that crouched reference pose, I initially generated up a crouch animation, as you can see here, used the little view source video icon, and then I scrolled to, or rather scrubbed to, a crouched position, and then I used this new animation from this start frame feature. What that did is it put it over here in the left, a new starting frame for this character, which I can then use to generate animations off of, to generate state-based animations. This is normally very difficult to do when it comes to AI video generations, to create animations that take into account character states, such as, for example, a crouched state. So AutoSprite 3 solves this complexity and makes it really easy. So let me show you the process now for creating the crouched states on my new damaged character. So here we have all of the crouched states here. What I'm going to do is actually select all of those, and as you can see, they're organized by starting pose. These are the crouched animations, these are the jumps. So it's really nice and organized. You can keep everything really easy to find and work on. What I'm going to do here is actually copy all of those prompts. And now I've copied all of those prompts from these 4 animations that I have selected here. And I want to actually recreate these animations for my character with her damaged state. But in order to do that, first I'm going to want to grab her crouched starting pose. So let me find that crouched animation. There it is right there. I'm going to open that up like so. And I'm going to take this down to a starting crouch pose. I'm going to do new animation from this start frame. And then that adds the new crouch starting frame right over here. I'm going to make sure that's selected and highlighted. And then all I need to do is paste in and generate the prompts that I had copied from the previous character for that crouched pose. And that will batch queue everything into generation under the new crouched starting point pose. And here we have some of our animations coming through. That one actually came out really cool. The sweeping spin kick, a crouched punch, a crouched kick, and the crouched block is coming along. Now, of course, when I'm ready for these to be actually transformed into game sprites, and I actually like how all of those came out. I have no complaints about those. They came out really well on the first try. Sometimes you need to regenerate, and that's what the regenerate button is for. Also, you can, if you're doing like a hard animation, that's something that's kind of complicated, you can actually even toggle up how many regenerations you want to do, and then generate on top of, instead of replacing your existing animation. Sometimes I do that just because sometimes, yeah, oh, that came out good too. Okay, everything came out good. So now what I do here is I select all the animations. I'm going to remove the green screen from these. I'm going to be using the local option. This makes it totally free, runs on my local GPU. I'm going to remove all the frames from there. So once green screen is removed, what I'll probably want to do is go in and tag some of these frames. So there's a few states that I want to actually use from this blocking animation. And the first state is basically just the character getting into that blocking state, just like a nice quick transition into a blocking state. I'm going to go and add tag here. I'm going to call this start block. And then I want to actually have the character holding that blocking state, where she just kind of sits in that blocking state, and actually maybe a little less frames here. So it's like just kind of like a nice smooth loop. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tag that with hold block. Now, these tags are read by your AI coding agent, and I'm going to actually ping pong reverse and loop that. So it's just kind of like a slow animation that holds her with a little bit of movement in the blocking state there. Might actually try 15 frames per second. Yeah, maybe 5. Anyway, and so that's now set up. When I export this animation, the JSON information comes down with it as well. And what that actually tells your coding agent is that this is the animation frames to play when the character starts blocking. So we want to see her transition into a block. And then we want to see her holding that block until the character like releases the block action. So basically what I do here is I go through and I doctor up the frames as are needed by creating special tags like that. After I'm done tagging, what I can do is select any of the animations or all of the animations and export those, download the entire pack. Additionally, if I want to toggle on sounds, animations are actually generated with sound effects that are timed nicely to their actual animation movement. So you can download sounds, and that exports the sounds individually as MP3 files, and you can bring that over into whichever gaming creation engine that you use. What I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to actually grab the job ID of this character up here, and using the Sorceress API inside of my Wizard Genie coding engine, I'm going to just paste in that job ID, and I'm going to ask my coding agent to bring this character into my game. This character is already tagged up and the animations are already prepared, so it will be able to add this character to my game and set it up like it's got my other fighters set up. So very quick, automatic, and easy. Anyway, gentlemen and ladies, that is a look at some of the new features in the AutoSprite version 3 Sprite animation system. You can, of course, get that in the Sorceress Game Creation Suite. It's one of many tools in the Sorceress Suite, and I am, of course, using my Wizard Genie AI game engine to handle all of my agentic coding. I will provide links to all of those things somewhere around this video.